Yo guys, how's it going? AK Moto here, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be getting some maintenance done here on the 125. Today's actually Saturday, just got home from work a bit ago and we're going riding tomorrow. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't touched this thing since the last time I went riding. And that was actually when we installed the Pro Circuit and got some good riding and did a little bit of a comparison between the stock system and the Pro Circuit system. If you guys haven't seen those videos, top right of your screen, I'll go ahead and leave a little card there if you want to check that out after this video. But yeah, bike needs a wash, and I also need to add an hour meter on it. I actually haven't even added an hour meter on it. So, you know, just so we can keep track of maintenance intervals, all that good stuff. We're gonna be washing the bike today. We're gonna be adding on an hour meter. I think I have 2 rides on the bike now, so barely any time on it, barely broken in. So we're gonna add that hour meter to start our maintenance tracking now. And then we're also gonna do a transmission oil change, probably change the air filter, and just basic maintenance on it. Just check that chain slack, lubricate the chain. So first let's get started by washing the bike. It's honestly not that dirty, so hopefully it doesn't take us too long. But yeah, let's get this bike nice and clean, and then don't mind my garage, guys. It's gonna be a little bit of a mess. Got a couple little different projects going on right now. But yeah, let's get this bike on the stand, let's get it outside, and let's just give it a real quick wash. And then honestly guys, this bike's pretty clean right now. I'm probably not even gonna bring out the power washer. I'm just gonna use the garden hose and probably fill a bucket with a little bit of soapy water. But yeah, this bike really is not very dirty right now, so I'm not even gonna bother with the power washer. Alrighty, here a second ago, so I was riding my bike and you guys saw me apply some oil to my exhaust pipe here. Now for those that don't know, with 2-strokes, for these header pipes, you have the option to buy these pipes either coated, like with a platinum coating or nickel coating, or you can buy them completely raw, steel, untreated like this one. Biggest benefit with a raw pipe like that is they look a little bit nicer, but one thing that you do have to be careful of is exposure to moisture, water, if you're riding in the rain, anything like that. Basically they can rust. So we just wash the bike. Pipe is covered in water, so in order to prevent it from rusting, because it's just raw steel, you need to make sure you coat it in something. Here I use Maxima MPPL. It's basically like WD-40 but for the dirt bike world. You can use WD-40, you can use engine oil, I mean really just anything that'll prevent the metal from rusting up. That's something you can use. So I just thought I'd come on here and explain that really quick for those that might not be familiar with 2-stroke exhaust pipes. Hey, why is this guy putting oil on his exhaust? That's why. Got to keep it from rusting when you have a raw pipe like this. Alrighty, so just knocked out a lot of smaller things, fueled up the bike, put a brand new air filter in it. For those curious, this bike takes the exact same air filter as the previous generation or previous body style of YZ125s. Same filter cage, same exact air filter and everything, so I use a lot of the filters from this bike in this bike. A brand new filter, or brand new clean filter, and here I just tightened up the chain just a very bit, or a very small amount, probably like a quarter of a turn, you know, in total between the two sides. So just a little bit more tension on the chain, or a little less slack, I should say. There's no tension on the chain, but a little less slack on the chain. Just something to keep in mind when you do have a brand new bike like this is during your first handful of rides is when the bike's really, you really want to keep a close eye on the maintenance, because during the first couple of rides, the chain will loosen up quite a bit, especially these standard non-O-ring chains. Just things are gonna move around, things are gonna wear in a little bit, so you really gotta stay on top of your maintenance for the first couple times out on the bike. For the first, I'd say 10 or 15 hours, just keep a really close eye on everything. Today, I also need to change the transmission oil on the bike. It still has literally what it came from the dealership in, so we gotta change out the transmission oil. It's gonna be the first transmission oil change I've ever done on this particular bike, but it should be pretty much the same. And then we're also gonna check the torques, or check the spoke torque. That's something that's very commonly overlooked on pretty much any dirt bike, is just the fact that you do need to occasionally go through the wheels and check the torque, check the torque on the spokes. So that's something we're gonna be doing as well. So I think first we're gonna start off with the transmission oil change. I'll definitely make a dedicated transmission oil change video for this bike in the future, but I mean, the process is really easy on these two strokes. We're literally just draining the old transmission oil and filling it back with new stuff. It's literally a drain and fill. There's no filters, there's no special procedures we have to do. So we're gonna do that right now. We're just gonna drain the old transmission oil, fill it with brand new oil, and I mean, that's literally it. These two strokes really are super simple to maintain. So on any kind of fluid change on a motorcycle, on a car, anything, it's always best to make sure you can get your new fluid in before you actually drain your old fluid out. So here I just loosened up the filled plug just to make sure it's not stuck or anything. And then here it's just a little 12 mil to undo the drain bolt, literally the only drain bolt underneath the engine here. I'm just gonna loosen that bad boy up. All right, now that the oil is all done draining, here we're just gonna snug up our drain bolt. No need to go super tight here. I'm gonna grip my ratchet kind of further up on the handle so we don't have as much leverage, and we're just gonna get it nice and snug. No reason to apply a whole lot of torque because we have that little crush washer that is sealing there. And we're pretty much ready at this step to just fill her up with brand new oil. And here for the transmission oil, these YZ125s really are not very picky on what you put for the transmission oil. The manual just recommends a SAE 10W40 engine oil. Biggest thing to avoid is car oil, so your normal automotive engine oils, because those have friction modifiers and those can affect the usage of the wet clutches on dirt bikes. So you definitely do want to stay away from any car, automotive engine oil, but anything more power sports related, conventional, semi-synthetic, full synthetic, as long as it can go on a motorcycle and is safe for wet clutches, then I mean, that's pretty much what this YZ125 can take for the transmission. Now all we have left to do is fill her up with 24 fluid ounces of our desired transmission oil. In this case, I'm just using the Lube stuff that I showed you guys earlier in the video. All right, now here before I do the spoke torquing on the wheels, actually I'm gonna tackle this hour meter install really quick. Now here for the hour meter, this is just a kind of generic Tusk one. I went with the old style of hour meter that requires you to wrap a little wire around your spark plug wire. To me, these are the most accurate ways because they only actually track hours when your bike is actually on. Now they do have hour meters that work solely off of the vibration of your bike. Now something to keep in mind with those kind of hour meters is although they are really easy to install because you don't have to run any little wires, those can be inaccurate because when you're transporting your bike, the hour meter can actually think that the bike's running because of the vibrations just during transport. Now a lot of hour meter companies have actually addressed this with a lock function that'll kind of lock out the hour meter when you transport your bike, but that's just kind of something that I don't really want to have to ever worry about. I just want to be able to ride my bike and have a little hour meter working in the background. So I still prefer, even though there are easier to install options, the kind of old style where you have to wrap a little wire around your spark plug. To me, it's just the easiest way. You don't have to think about it, you set it and forget it. Now they do make little mounts that you could have, that I could have gotten with this little hour meter. I know one mount would actually work really well right here on this bike, just to go in where this bolt sits, and the hour meter would sit something like this. But I'm actually looking for something that's a little more hidden, a little more tucked out of the way. I just prefer my hour meters to be a little bit hidden on the bike. So I actually found a little spot that works pretty well on this bike. I think right here on top of the left radiator shroud, if I can kind of tuck the hour meter in here, something like that, just to where you can barely see, get a little reading, but it's still really hidden on the bike. That's probably something that I'm gonna go with right there. Again, I just prefer to kind of tuck them out of plain view, and I mean, you will be able to see it a little bit, but there's just so much space right there, and that's such an easy spot to see for servicing the bike that it makes a lot of sense for me. So I think this is the spot I'm gonna go with. I'm just gonna more or less put it right here, so you know, when you look behind the fender, you'll be able to see the hour meter, but it's not in your face right here on the bar pad. And something to keep in mind is, you know, if I were to ever go with like a pro taper bar setup, those bar pads are a lot bigger. Case in point, right here on my older 125, and this would kind of interfere with actually running the hour meter off of this number plate bolt, because obviously there's not enough space to clear the aftermarket bar pad. So this hour meter setup would work with a little mount right here on the number plate with the stock bar pad, but I'm just gonna avoid having future clearance issues if I were to put aftermarket bars on the bike. I'm gonna avoid all that just by putting the hour meter right here. Alrighty y'all, so our meter is in place and installed, and now we just have to throw the gas tank back on, make sure everything fits fine, and then all we have to do is check the spokes, probably get the air pressure in the tires, and then we're pretty much all good to go for tomorrow. So let's throw this gas tank back on and do exactly that. And also the gas tank on this bike, really easy to take off, literally just like 4 or 5 bolts, so gotta love 2 strokes. Our meter is installed. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good looking. And now all we have to do is check the spoke torque on the bike, front and rear. This bike specifies 2.5 Newton meters or 1.8 foot-pounds of torque on the spokes. And for checking the torque on the spokes, with this bike you actually get a very small little hand wrench, but it's not an actual torque wrench. I recommend, if you ride dirt bikes, to just go out and pick up a little spoke torque wrench kit. They're usually not too expensive, and it's just a really important thing to do in terms of maintaining spoked wheels like this. Just making sure all the spokes stay tight so you don't have any issues in the long run with the wheels or spokes breaking or wheels coming out of true, anything like that. The spoke torque wrench kit that I have is from Warp 9, but I mean, there's plenty of them out there, and there's also a lot of tutorials online on this kind of stuff. So I recommend, if you guys need to do this on your own bike, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there's a lot of other people who can explain it better than me. But yeah, I'm gonna check the spoke torque here real quick on the 125. We gotta set the air pressure in the tires. OEM standard for the air pressure is 15 PSI. I'm probably just gonna set them to that because it's gonna be cold tomorrow, and the pressures are gonna drop a little bit in the tires. But yeah, let's go ahead and check the torque on the spokes real quick and set the air pressure, and then we're gonna be good to go. Alrighty y'all, and we've gotten this bike dialed in with pretty much all of the immediate after break-in maintenance. So just a little recap. Obviously we washed the bike, we changed the air filter, we changed the transmission oil. After that we went ahead and installed an hour meter onto the bike. That's something obviously optional, but highly recommended. Really happy with how that turned out. After that we went ahead and checked the spokes, made sure none of them were loose, and if anything, a couple front spokes were getting just a tiny bit loose, just needed a very tiny adjustment, but the rears were all fine. And then of course we set the tire pressure, so we're pretty much all good to go for tomorrow. We're gonna head out to Murphy's MX, and of course you guys are gonna see a video of that. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick little video, just doing a little bit of break-in maintenance on the 2026 Yamaha YZ125. And yeah, subscribe if you guys haven't already so you guys don't miss any upcoming content with this bike. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.